Donald Trump now says a path to legal status for undocumented immigrants may be possible. It's a policy he seemed to rule out, though, in a speech last week in Phoenix. While talking to reporters aboard his plane Monday en route from Cleveland to Youngstown, Ohio, Trump again seemed to change course on legalization. Take a listen.
I'm not ruling out anything. No, I'm not getting a pathway to legal status. No. To become a citizen, you're going to have to go out and come back in. Through the process, you're going to have to get online. But this isn't touchback. No. This is you have to go out and you have to get online, you have to come back in to become a citizen.
Dani Vargas, GOP strategist, former chairman of the Republican National Hispanic Assembly. Victoria DeFrancesco is head of Mexican-American Studies at the University of Texas. She's also an MSNBC contributor. Thanks to both of you for being with me this morning. Dani, let me start with you. Trump also said that the decisions on the issue of legalization would be made, quote, into the future. What do you make of the recent comments?
You know, it's tough to be able to nail him down on anything. I think Mr. Trump is not so much pivoting or flip-flopping. I think he's bobbing and weaving. I think his campaign is hoping to be able to cast himself in a light where what he says or his surrogate says gives people the ability to hear what they want to hear. So I think the target audience is not so much the Hispanic voters. I think it's more the moderate suburban white women in particular who are concerned about his tone and the tenor that he's taken. So he's hoping to be able to give them a reason to be able to say, well, this guy's moderating, he's pivoting, and hopefully they can vote for him. But I think at this point, he's basically giving the opportunity for people to hear what they want to hear because he can't alienate his base either.
Victoria, do you think that there is a strategy in this ambiguity?
Quite frankly, I don't, Craig. I think he doubted there for a minute whether he needed to soften. It was said that he met with various Latino leaders, and they were making the hard pitch that he needed to pull it back. However, I think at the end of the day, he saw, you know, you dance with the one that brought you, and that was his conservative base. And I do think that we're going to see a tad bit more consistency. Over the weekend, we saw his vice presidential pick, Governor Pence, go on Meet the Press, and he really doubled down on that more restrictive tone on immigration, saying we're going to do it humanely, but no legalization, no path to citizenship. So I think that this is going to be the message that both men, Pence and Trump, are going to be hammering forward because they know that they have to rely on the base to turn out. They know they're not going to woo any more new voters. So this is the strategy going forward for the next 60 days.
Dani, you have been fairly critical of Trump in the past, urging the RNC to focus its financial resources on these down-ballot races instead. Is that still the case?
That is, I think, look, at the end of the day, we need to make sure that whoever becomes the next president, we need to have a Republican Congress, both the House and the Senate, to be able to put a halt on any excesses of either a President Trump or a President Clinton. Look, at the end of the day, the next several weeks are going to be a race to the bottom. I think both campaigns are going to try to focus their energies on highlighting the negatives of the other candidate. I think it's going to be an issue of deciding which character defect the American people find most abhorrent, whether it's trustworthiness or whether it's temperament. I think we're going to see both campaigns trying to focus on driving up the negatives while also trying to maintain some of their positives. But it's going to be a race to the bottom to see which campaign does a better job of making the other camp seem worse. Victoria,
you were there in Texas, a traditionally red state, and that's probably a bit of an understatement there. There is, of course, this new poll out this morning, this Washington Post poll. It shows that Texas is now a toss-up in a four-way race. You can see it right there.
Yeah.
You buying that?
Look, 6 months ago, I would have said that is impossible. There is no way. I still think it's unlikely, but more interesting are the forces that are being moved here in Texas. And a couple of factors here, Craig. First of all, those suburban white women that we were talking about earlier, they're just not buying the Trump line. They don't like his harshness. And also Latino Republicans, because outside of Florida, Texas has the biggest chunk of Latino Republicans, and they're also moving away from Trump. So you add those two groups together, you throw in Gary Johnson into the mix, and this is where we're seeing the numbers from the Washington Post poll. However, I do think that it's going to be a couple more years before we see Texas go blue.
Victoria, Dani, thank you both.
Thanks.